1, 2, 3, 4. Those are numbers, but you already knew that. If you want to know what number you're going to pay each month for your car, use Kelly Blue Book My Wallet on Auto Trader. They're really good at numbers. Auto Trader.
Shrek and Donkey on another whirlwind adventure. Ain't no stopping us now. Woo! We're on the move.
Stop, Auger.
I have misjudged you.
Join the club. We've got jackets.
On my honor, I am obliged to accompany you until you have saved your life, and you have spared me mine.
I'm sorry, the position of annoying talking animal has already been taken.
Hello, welcome to Unequal Sequel. My name is Dave, and I'm one of the two hosts of this jubilant podcast.
Oh, and I'm Rich, and I'm the other host of this jubilant podcast. Think of me as Gru to Dave's minions. I'm an evil genius who wants to take over the world, but a surprisingly good father, and he's very small and yellow.
Yeah, that is also true. The premise of Unequal Sequel is very simple. We ask our guests their best ever sequel, worst ever sequel, and finally their dream sequel.
And of course, we'll often drift off and talk about other things, other movies, maybe just life in general, because we like a rambly chat.
Do have to point out we do love dropping big spoilers, so if there's a film we mention and you haven't seen it, you know what? Bring up a friend, see how they are, then come on back and it'll all be okay. Because on today's episode, we are joined by Clare and Daisy from the podcast W Rated.
Clare and Daisy are brilliant podcasters. We are big fans of the W Rated podcast, where they take the bottom 100 rated movies in IMDB and watch them because they're crazy and then talk about them. It's a brilliant podcast. You really need to listen if you haven't already.
Because we are very excited to sit down with Clare and Daisy and chat all things sequels with them.
These are Clare and Daisy from W Rated's Unequal Sequels. Enjoy!
Do you guys remember the first sequel that you saw and got really excited about when you were younger? I don't mind who goes first.
I do, because I already shared it with Daisy when we were trying to come up with like a combined list.
Ah.
Mine was The Return of Jafar. Like, I adore, and I know it's come up on the podcast before. I've heard you guys championing it.
Brilliant.
I love Aladdin. It's like one of my top Disney films, and to me, The Return of Jafar was just good because they both lived on the bottom shelf of the bookshelf in the VHS section.
Yeah.
And so they were both just Disney movies to me. And as a child, I didn't appreciate animation. And I just liked Jasmine and Iago singing a little duet. So,
that is an iconic song.
Yeah, that for me, like, I don't think I was excited for it because I didn't understand the concept of being excited for a movie at like 5. But I just, like, that's top tier sequel for me for like most of my childhood. And even now, champion it. I know Robin Williams isn't in it, and I know he came back for King of Thieves, but King of Thieves can like it doesn't need to get in the bin, but it can just go in another room. Like it doesn't belong with Return of Jafar, which is top tier.
Brilliant.
I have a huge memory of pre-ordering Return of Jafar and being so excited from W.H. Smith's, and it was going to be like, it used to be like a pull-out drawer where you pre-ordered stuff.
Yes, I used to get magazines from the pull-out drawer.
Yeah, and you get magazines, and it was there, and I was so excited. I remember the day of it. I've got a really vivid memory of just going, I'm getting Return of Jafar today. It's going to be brilliant.
You've ignited. I remember the W.H. Smith's in Bexley Heath Broadway had like a massive, which is me and Daisy grew up in the same place.
So I know exactly what she's talking about.
There's like they had a massive stand for Return of Jafar, just a big cardboard stand. I remember walking past it all the time because my parents never paid for anything new, and I somehow got Return of Jafar for my birthday or Christmas because clearly I must have pointed at that stand every day.
Were you confused it never came out in cinema though? That really boggled my mind when I was little.
No, because I think I would have only been about 5 or 6, and we didn't go to the cinema that much. Like we pretty much went to the cinema once on a summer holiday, and we would see whatever was on. So like we weren't big cinema family. Yeah. So I believe I probably did see Aladdin in the cinema, but I have no memory of it. I have a memory of going to the Charing Cross McDonald's and getting a Sultan wobbly toy from my Happy
Disney
Meal.
tie-ins were brilliant in the 90s.
Yeah.
Kids are missing out now.
I don't know what they got. Daisy, what was yours? Do you remember?
Well, mine's actually a Disney film as well.
Of course
And
they are.
I'm sorry, I'm going to end up flexing a little bit on the cinema front. I don't know how excited I was at the age of 4 going to see Toy Story 2, but I know my dad was unbelievably excited and took me to I don't know which cinema in Leicester Square, but we went to one in Leicester Square. And he was absolutely fuming with me when I fell asleep within 5 minutes. In my defence, I was 4 or 5 years old, and it'd been a long day. It was in the evening. So, but, you know, I imagine that at that age, I was very excited to see Toy Story 2. I'm sure my dad, because my dad basically imprinted all of his favourite films onto me. So if he was taking me all the way to Leicester Square to see Toy Story 2, I'm sure there must have been excitement in that household. But I do also remember going to see Fantasia 2000 as well. We went to see that at the BFI IMAX, which was just an unreal experience.
Impressive.
So I would have been about 6 at that point. So you can imagine like this tiny little girl in this IMAX screen with all these pretty colours and music was just, like that was incredible as well.
That's so cool.
Remind me what happens in Fantasia 2000 because I have no clue.
So they
Well,
still
it's
have the
lots of little mini
same,
things.
so they have like different like conceptual animation pieces based on different classical pieces of music, and they do have Sorcerer's Apprentice again, but they have like other stuff. And I still my favourite piece of classical music is still to this day from that film. It's actually jazz, but it's Rhapsody in Blue. But
I knew you were going to say that the minute you were like, my favourite piece of music. I was like, there's Rhapsody in Blue.
I just have that whole sequence, like,
And how does that go?
Retinas and it goes, I'll get my flute out and I'll play it for you.
I prefer Fantasia 2000 to Fantasia. I think it's probably just because animations come on and so they're a bit more adventurous.
I honestly thought it was the same film. I never knew it was two different things.
Yeah, I think I definitely seen 2000 more because it was round about that time when DVD players were coming in, and it was one of the first DVDs that we hadn't because we'd seen it in the cinema. Whereas Fantasia, I think I had on VHS, probably watched it when I was a lot younger, but that was that was like, oh, this is my DVD that I own, not my dad, kind of thing. So yeah, I definitely think I have a bias there, same as I have a bias for Toy Story 2 over Toy Story 1, but
I feel really
ever
old
so
that you were-
slightly. I'm sorry, I do. Yeah, Claire tells me off for this sometimes.
No, I feel really old just because I was 18 or 19, I think, when Fantasia 2000 came out.
Okay,
So, like,
I was 10, so I feel young for once.
Yay!
it's okay. I'm always the old man. It's all
Yeah,
right.
he is the old man. I think Toy Story 2 I was about 13, 14, and that one I was in a cinema with lots of little kids, and there's me and my mate, grown adults, well not adults,
Which
kids,
we were all
thinking we're
doing
adults.
at Toy Story 3 and 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Free,
definitely.
yes.
I appreciate. Dave's hand gesture about the unnecessary film there. Perfect.
I don't think it exists, the fourth one.
Oh, I
doesn't.
see.
Toy Story is a great trilogy.
It's a perfect. Yeah.
I felt the same when I watched Sonic the Hedgehog 2 the other day. You know, just sat there as a grown adult in a cinema full of children.
I went to see Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and I got there. I was like rushing because I got there late, got to the screen, and there was no one else on the screen. It was just me.
Amazing. That's
Private
incredible.
screening.
I
It was
love it when that
wonderful.
happens.
And they apparently at that cinema on a Wednesday you get a free popcorn and a free drink with your ticket. So I was just like,
Wonderful.
Don't know what's happening today. So everything was great until then. After I left, the bus saw me running for the bus and left without me. I was like, you've ruined the perfect evening.
I always find it weird when you're the only one in cinema and the people come in to clean and they just watch you while you're watching the credits, and you're like, this is like a competition now. Who can
Yeah, it's
outweigh
like
who?
chicken, right? It's like chicken when you're like, I want to watch the end of the credits, but there's not that many people here, and then you can just see them at the corner where I come in watching
Yeah.
you. And I actually know someone that used to work in the cinema, and she was like, yeah, we get like barely any time to clean those screens. That's why we hover.
Oh.
And I started to feel bad about it. I'm like, but I pay for my ticket. Sorry.
Everyone's worked on that. I'm just giving them time.
Just, I'm reading every individual name.
They need to hold a little sign up and say if there's a post-credit sequence or not.
They've started doing that in cinemas.
What?
In the foyer, they've
Really?
started writing down whether stuff has after mid-credit or post-credit scene. Yeah, I've seen it on Twitter. I don't know how common it is. Probably not in franchise cinemas, but
I like to wait around to see the songs as well sometimes because there's normally a tune in them. Like, I like that one. Who's done that?
It's a
Where's
good
that
point.
from? And they're always the last things. So you've done a joint one, so this is going to be interesting. So what is your best sequel ever?
We didn't prepare who was gonna introduce.
We had a brief text message exchange, then I got COVID, and then we never spoke about it again.
I sent my shortlist, and she was like, "Yeah, I could work with these."
And then I died for a bit, and then I just forgot
But
about
to be honest, I think it was always going to be this one, right, Claire? I think we both have a very, very deep love for it. It's Shrek 2.
I'm so happy. So happy.
Just iconic, isn't it? There's no other word for it.
It's brilliant.
I like
It's
how they're
brilliant.
like, we have an almost perfect film. How can we top an almost perfect film? And they're like, cat.
In boots.
I thought you were going to say Jennifer Saunders then, but yeah, cat, that'll do.
Yeah, a puss in boots. You're right. I missed an opportunity there, Daisy.
Yeah. But it's true, because Shrek is a perfect film. It's a masterpiece. I can play it. I can sit. There's a meme where someone says like, or like a shit post or something. When someone's like, "Oh, when I was younger, I would just sit there and play Shrek from start to finish, like in my head or whatever." And I'm like, is that me? Did I write this? Because I could do that.
I've been to the cinema to see Shrek with Daisy and can confirm she did very quietly but noticeably mouth every line of the film.
Now, I can't do this with Shrek 2, but I will confirm that it's just in every way possible, it's equal as a sequel.
I actually think it's better than the first
Me
one.
too.
I think it's
Me
better
I don't think I can do it.
because of the cat and Jennifer
Because
Saunders.
of the cat. Yeah, and Jennifer Saunders singing a David Bowie cover. Like,
Yeah.
who knew what we needed was
Well,
that?
this
and
is
it was.
it, right? We didn't know we needed these films. Well,
She
these
steals that
two.
movie.
She
The
does.
song choices are so good. They're so good. It kicks off with Counting Crows and just gets better. I love it.
Yeah, Rich is a big Counting Crows fan. This is one of the first things I ever learned about Rich. He's like, do you like Counting Crows? No idea who they
Hi,
were.
Rich, do you like Counting Crows? You
went
mean
to
to
see
the action or the band?
I went to see them live at some festival in Hyde Park
Did
once,
you?
and the guy was really wasted and just laid down and kept
Yeah,
singing,
that sounds
but just
about right.
laid down on the stage.
He does that a lot, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was just like, this is
Standard fare for a
interesting.
Counting Crows concert, apparently.
Yeah. He's a white guy with dreads. Of course he lays down a lot.
Yeah.
Come on.
Has he still got the dreads?
I don't know, to be honest, Dave. To be honest, it's it's been a long time since the 90s.
I remember you had a
probably lost
poster
them by
on your
now.
wall, didn't you, at uni?
I had a t-shirt that I wore all the time.
Brilliant.
I might have done. I can't remember.
So how gassed were you when you heard this song in the Shrek
I
sequel?
was pretty gassed, I gotta be honest. Like, I really love Shrek 2. I've got a long, love of Shrek, generally. Like, a bit like you, but yeah, I saw Shrek in the cinema. I absolutely love it. I got Shrek as a human from Shrek 2 as my, Twitter profile picture.
Yep.
Because I got hounded by some, gender-critical people because of stuff that happened at my work. So I had to change all my pictures and stuff, and I just left it. But mainly that's because I went to a fancy dress party at uni, dressed as Shrek, and met
Amazing.
someone. And then when I was not Shrek, she was like, "Oh my god, you actually look like Shrek when he's a human too." And I was like,
That is incredible.
that's when I was like, university rugby player bod, not dad bod. But I am now.
Just like Shrek.
Yeah, just like Shrek.
So, when did you see Shrek 2? Was it a cinema? Or was it a VHS?
It was a cinema. I don't think it was. This was post VHS world. Shrek 2 went out on DVD.
I remember getting Shrek on VHS.
Yeah, I think Shrek 2 only went to DVD though.
Oh, okay.
Did it?
We'd moved on between that era. I saw it at the cinema on a double date only. Me and my friend went as it was my friend on her third date with her new
This is
boyfriend.
the
and then
information
just
we like.
me,
Yep.
me and my
Plus.
other friend there, but we weren't together. We were two girls who weren't dating, and we were just there double dating with my friend and her boyfriend because she didn't have any other couple friends.
Oh.
But it was great. We went to see that, and either the week before or the week after, we went to see Mean Girls, and after both, we went to Burger King and got chips and donuts. It was like a great
This
fortnight.
bliss. Great.
Brilliant.
But yeah, went to see it at the cinema. Bloody loved it. What a great time to be alive.
It's true. I don't know if I saw it in the cinema. My memory's very, very hazy, considering, it
Being the youngest,
wasn't that long ago, really. But no, I definitely had it on DVD. My dad must have, as soon as he must have taken me to the cinema. Unless he didn't, because he knew how annoying I'd be. That's probably
fall
more
asleep
likely. Yeah, or that. But I definitely had it on DVD. I have a much stronger memory of Shrek as a child, but Shrek 2, I think I appreciated much more as a teen and into being an adult, for sure.
Yeah, there are adult jokes in there.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Pinocchio jokes.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
I didn't rewatch it for the podcast because I knew that I'd talk about it so much and want to rewatch it again, so I just saved it for afterwards.
I have rewatched it within the last couple of weeks because, as I was saying pre-recording, I did a ranking of the entire Shrek franchise and watched all 5 Shrek.
There's 5?
4.
5?
There's 4 in Puss in Boots.
Oh, fine.
Okay.
And what about the Christmas editions, the Christmas specials and the Halloween stuff?
We did not include them. Thank God. But yeah, I rewatched and I've seen Shrek 2 so much, but there were still little things that I was like, oh, I'd forgotten about that joke. And, oh, I'd forgotten that thing.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant. The only thing that made me sad, I watched it on, I think it was Now or Netflix, I'm not sure which one. You don't get the Far Far Away Idol that's on the DVD. Far Far Away Idol is the one which was on the DVD, and I used to always make Puss in Boots sing These Boots Are Made for Walking, and I'd always let him win.
You really like Puss in Boots, don't you?
Yeah.
He's a ginger cat that wears boots.
What's more to love? And this is the thing, right? These films came out of that era of DVDs where the bonus features weren't just these extra things that I watched, they were critical to your viewing experience.
Yeah.
So much so, not only do I know Shrek from start to finish, I also know Shrek in the Swamp's karaoke dance party from start to finish, which was on the first DVD.
Right.
But I definitely watched the hell out of all the bonus features on the second one as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you think the sequels compare? There's a sharp decrease. Do you
They
think
don't compare.
Yeah, so it's like Shrek. Oh, I'm doing hand movements on a podcast. What am I doing?
I was joining you.
Maybe you could do it with the pitch of your voice.
But for me, I'm trying to remember how I ranked them on the other podcast that I was on, which hasn't come out yet, so I can't remember. But Shrek is near perfect. Shrek 2 is perfect. Shrek 3, let's just the less we discuss it, the better. What a waste of time.
Is that the Justin Timberlake?
I was about to ask the same question.
Just a waste, just a complete disappointment. What were they doing? How could they kill off a franchise that quickly? Shrek 4, not as bad as everyone remembers.
Okay.
Watchable, pleasant.
Is that the one with Rumpelstiltskin?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's nowhere near the first 2. It's nowhere near that caliber, but in comparison to 3, it's a big step up.
Okay. I don't know if I've ever seen 4.
Forever After.
Oh, well, I love the name, but...
Yeah, okay.
Someone pointed out on this podcast that Shrek doesn't grow in any of the films. He's always arguing that he always wants to be alone. And then by every end of every film, he works out he doesn't want to be alone.
I think I relate on that a little bit.
we argued that because in Shrek Forever After, the premise is that he wishes that he could give up a day of his life, and the day that he says any day, and the day that Rumpelstiltskin chooses is the day he was born, to make it that Shrek never existed.
Genius.
And as we proposed on Binge Movies podcast, everyone's life was improved if Shrek didn't exist. And is Shrek the villain
My
of
life
his own
didn't improve.
franchise?
Even donkeys.
Donkey seemed alright. It was an odd...
He would have been captured.
Yeah.
Shrek saved him in the first one.
He wasn't captured though. I don't know what he was doing.
No, he
but
was running
on his own.
away, and then Shrek was all like... "Rah,"
The old lady or someone was trying to sell him.
But I'm trying to think where he.
Wait, let me rewind it in my head.
What he's
Let's go
up
from the
to.
start scene.
No, I'm trying to think in the world where Shrek was never born. Where do we find Donkey? Because we find everyone else. Fiona has a whole community of ogres, and it's well, what happened to the other ogres? Did Shrek eat them all?
Oh, see, yeah, this is a lot of lore, a lot of Shrek lore I'm not familiar with, because I've seen the third one. I don't think I've seen the fourth one, and if I had it's been on in the background.
We've got to be careful. We really don't want to upset the Shrek fanboys. They're rabid. They're even worse than Star Wars.
What are they called? What are their names?
Shrekkies.
I got told I was sweaty for Shrek.
What?
And I didn't know what it meant, but apparently it's when you're a Shrek stan, but you're sweaty.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, the top that you gave me for my birthday was pretty spot on, which was, it just has Shrek laying down saying feeling Shreksy on it. And anytime I wear it in front of anyone, no one sees it at first and then reads it and then just dies of laughter after it.
What events do you wear that out to?
Oh, just around the house, red carpet premieres,
Usual Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite scene from Shrek 2? If you were this is the best bit.
I do.
I do. Daisy, go first.
Well, it's got to be the crescendo of everything, right? When Jennifer Saunders is singing Holding Out for a Hero, and you've got Gingy turns up to the bakery and makes Mungo, and then he falls down into the river, and it's all like building up, and it's just... And then all of the Shrek theme comes in. This is like, I'm not a person that really notices scores, but like, that was moving.
Yeah, that was the exact
I thought
same
you would say
bit,
that
because you know I have a little obsession with gingerbread men, and I love gingerbread men. So a giant gingerbread man called Mongo who saves the day. I was just like, I'm still devastated he dies, and that is actually in the fourth film. Puss in Boots eats Gingy.
What?
Yeah, and I'd forgotten about that until I rewatched it. I was like, oh no,
That's disappointing.
They pitted my two faves against each other, and only one survived.
I didn't realise there was so much darkness in the Shrek universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not watching 4. This
This
we'll
is
do a
drawn
Toy Story
the
4
line
with
now.
it. Doesn't exist.
But yeah, no, any scenes that involve Gingy, but I just love as well because he like knocks. He's like, "Do you know the Muffin Man?" And then we see the Muffin Man, and he's like, "Gingy."
That's if we had to pick a second from the film, it would be that one. There's so many good
I
bits.
watched it at like 10 o'clock this morning, and my wife was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, it's for the podcast."
Always
like,
time
it's
for
not,
Shrek
you just
2.
like it.
Yeah, precisely. Any time of day you can stick that on and have the best time, I would argue. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
we watched
agreed.
it. I went out, went away for a weekend with a group of friends for someone's birthday, when you're just like, everyone's kind of doing their own thing during the day and everyone's sort of like chilling out. Just stick Shrek 2 on. Everyone's a winner. Like, you can't go wrong.
I think there are a few things in life that can't improve.
Very few.
We had a dodgy copy at uni that I remember we used to share around to us as our friendship group. Cause
Was it how like dodgy of a copy was it? Was it really basic silver with just Shrek 2 scribbled on it, or was it one of those ones with like the printed out DVD cover
But
folded in a little cellophane bag?
blown and like
No,
off colour.
This was time just after Napster and LimeWire was going crazy. So, and it was an award based one, so it had like once in a while, it was like for your consideration came across it.
Interesting.
And there was a few of them just flying around our halls of residence. Lord of the Rings 2 Towers was at the same point. So everyone was watching a lot of Shrek 2. It was like, have you seen Shrek 2? Do you want to see Shrek 2? I've got a copy of Shrek 2.
What a time. God. I was like, why wouldn't Shrek 2 improve your university experience? Like, what can't it improve?
Cider and blackcurrant and Shrek 2.
Damn.
Maybe if I'd had Shrek 2, well, I already had Shrek 2 at uni, but maybe if it had been brand new when I was at uni, I wouldn't have left because it would have just shaped my experience so much.
Was that the year Shrek 4 came out?
Yeah, maybe. It might have actually been. I don't know when Shrek 4 came out. I'm actually going to look it up now. But I just also wanted to make some comments about sort of like all the parodies that they do. It's just so smart. Obviously, they do a lot of riffing in the first one, which is, it is about tearing up the whole fairy tale book and redoing it. And that is so smart. I love it when people take something that's, well renowned and well loved and well known and kind of like go, well, let's just bring it into this time period. We've got this amazing animation. We've got these amazing actors. Let's just play on it and riff on it. But I think there's certain moments in Shrek 2 which they just aren't dated at all either, because we talk a lot about on the podcast with things, because as you can imagine on a podcast about the worst films, this kind of stuff comes up quite a lot when it's parodying. We've got like 8 parody films to get through.
Yeah, I bet.
And this is when it's done right. The things like when they get caught by the cops and like he's got like catnip on him.
Yeah.
And like when they first
not
arrive
mine.
at Far, Far Away and on all of the play on all the fairy tales, because it just builds on what the first one set up. And I think what the first one did so well was it played on fairy tales but didn't use IP, it used its own stuff. But then when it did introduce the IP, it felt a lot more earned. So when you're looking at Snow White and Cinderella and stuff, although they were mentioned in the first one, it just takes it that little bit further, and also just comments on the whole Hollywood vapid. It's just very, I think it's very, very smart. And it's such a shame that they kind of pushed it into it kind of become the snake that ate itself, in that it ended up
it lost its way,
what it
hasn't
was riffing, and it just, so I didn't rush
I'm
to
sure
see the
there's
others.
a bit with Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop where he kind of looks up between the palm trees when he's going into Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
all
they
impressed.
riff on
and
that.
then Donkey does
Donkey
exactly
does
the
it,
same
yeah.
thing. There's so many cool, brilliant pop culture bits though, like Puss in Boots, but doing chest bursting out of Shrek's t-shirt like an alien, and like,
Mission Impossible
so
with
many-
Pinocchio.
Mission
That's when the
Impossible, yeah.
underwear thing comes in. Yeah, because I think we've come to the conclusion of with parodies and satire and things like that is, if it comes from a place of, well, more parodies and satire, but if it comes from a place of love and respect, it always feels so much more well-rounded and interesting.
Yeah.
If you're just shitting on stuff for the sake of it, people can tell, whereas that's very much like fairy tales used to be the pop culture. So how do we weave in pop culture into the fairy tales now? And I think it's just really smart.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you think it has a future? Would there be a Shrek 5? Would you be...
They keep rumouring Shrek 5, but I don't know now if it's still Shrek 5 or if it's a Shrek reboot.
Oh.
Well, they got the Shrek, like, cinema thing by the South Bank or whatever. It's massive, Dreamcast. They can't reboot
Oh, no, they've
it.
closed that now.
Oh, I missed my chance of going.
Yeah, and I'm so surprised I never went, to be honest. I'm pretty sure, because I actually...
I like that you know it's shut, though.
I saw it on Twitter and had the same but genuine reaction of, oh, you've got to be kidding me, I never went!
I went to was it like Shrek 3D?
It's like Shrek's Adventure on
Yeah, it was
South
next to the
Bank.
London Eye.
Not South Bank.
I did like whatever the version in Universal Florida was.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was really fun.
But they can't just cancel that and start again, can they? Because Eddie Murphy, Mike Myers, it's quite iconic.
I don't know how you'd reboot an animation, because have they
Why
done that
would you
before?
bother? Like,
Because you could just
that
make
doesn't
him look
sense.
the same. Why would you reboot it?
It'll be like a new story of new style of animation and everything. I mean, Puss in Boots 2 is coming out in what, like a matter of weeks?
I didn't even know they did one.
News to me, Claire.
So-
News to me.
So it's
Tell me
called
more.
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and he learns that he has used 8 of his 9 lives, and so
Oh.
he only has
Yes.
1 life left.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a bad premise.
Yes,
You've got me.
interesting premise. Is it Antonio Banderas?
It is.
Wonderful.
Oh.
And completely different animation though, which at first I was really disappointed about because I really liked the animation in the first film, but I'm also excited because like Sony Animation are doing such wild thing. Actually, it's not Sony Animation, it's DreamWorks. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, new animation doing wild things, and they do look like, it kind of looks like a storybook the way it's
Oh,
animated.
cute. Okay.
Okay.
It looks like it could be very interesting, so I guess depending on the success of that, we can see if Shrek 5 will ever be a
There was a
thing.
Puss in Boots TV show, wasn't there? My son quite liked that for a while.
I think that was
so
a different
we've-
style of animation. Was that just 2D, or maybe I'm
Just
making that
cheaper,
up?
I think.
I wonder
it's
if
Rapunzel
the
that
new
was
film is
2D,
meant
I
to
think.
look more like it. Maybe I'd have to.
Yeah, maybe. But I like the animation of the first two, and I remember watching.
It holds
all of
up
it.
pretty well.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
just
it does.
you know that it's older animation. But I was thinking this about when I watched the trailer for like the new Disney animation, where it's just like it's just. Do you know? I think new animation looks worse because I think they've perfected it so much that you can be so photorealistic that when they try and do something different, it looks so fake that you're like, oh, I don't know. It's just like gone to like Uncanny Valley a little bit, where I know you can be so photorealistic, and now you're trying to be like a good example of it being a different style but working well was like Turning Red. But then like I
Yeah.
saw like this trailer for something, I don't even know what it was called, Strange Worlds or something, and I was like, I don't know, like it's lost that sort of charm of the older stuff. It's lost the charm of the older stuff. It looks like, you know, when someone has all of the fantastic editing and it's all digital and it's all super glossy, and then they try and make it look like film, and just something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
That's the
Do
kind
you
of...
guys remember? I remember a film. It was Final Fantasy's Spirits Within, and they tried to make it like lifelike, and they're like, soon we won't even need actors.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
we hate those. Get rid of those.
It is shocking now.
The thing for me is that I think it really, you can tell who's behind. Like depends on who's behind it, because animation has always been its own artistic form. I don't want it to look like real life people.
Yeah, exactly.
I want it to be completely separate. It's like when you look at again like what Sony are doing with Spider-Verse and with Mitchell's versus the Machines, they are doing things you cannot do in real life,
Yeah.
because that's why animation exists, because it completely breaks boundaries. And I love that like companies like that are pushing themselves to break boundaries. Whereas when I look at the trailer for Lightyear, like, he looks too photorealistic. And I know they're trying to make him look like a man as opposed to the toy. But I'm just like, it doesn't have the warmth that I feel, again, like Daisy said, from those earlier kind of when when the big new studios were DreamWorks and Pixar kind of rocking up. It's not the same.
But you're right, it's like, why would you tell a story? They've lost the purpose behind animation, right? You made animated films for stories that you couldn't tell, or the vision of it you couldn't necessarily tell in person. So it just seems like the purpose behind animating has kind of fallen off of some of these
it's all money
studios.
making, isn't it?
Well,
as I rant about regularly on our podcast, it's all about money.
which we
making.
did when we talked about Space Jam, and then in the next minute said, but we loved it, we lapped it up.
You can like things that are made for commercial purposes. Like, both things can be true.
Yep, it's not mutually
That's why
exclusive.
Disney World exists.
Apart from Space Jam 2.
Yeah.
Didn't hate it.
Wow.
Listen
Okay.
to our Razzies podcast.
You should listen to ours as well.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that we hated it, wouldn't it, Dave?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were confused who it was aimed at. Anyway, what is the most disappointing sequel you've seen? So you didn't have to hate it. You just so high going into it, but the drop-off was quite
Oh,
big.
that's a really good question.
Scream. The latest Scream.
That's a
Yeah,
shame.
I went and saw it a second time just to see if it was that my anticipations were so high or if it's a bad movie, and it was 50-50. It's not a bad film, but it's also not a good film, and Scream and Scream 4 are so important to me. They're two of my favourite ever films. Like, Scream would be in my top 10 ever, and I personally consider Scream 4 damn near close to Scream. Scream 2, fabulous as well. Scream 3 has a lot of flaws, but I enjoy the ride. Like,
Yeah.
it's not the same caliber. You can see
It's a good
not the same
batting
caliber.
average, though, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, good batting average, but I enjoy the ride. Scream 5, and it's one of the things that, like, we've just spent loads of time talking about Shrek 2. The best thing for me about Shrek 2 is how well they embed new characters, and for me that's a real sign of a good versus a bad sequel.
such a good
If you can
point.
introduce new characters seamlessly and make them embedded with the old
And
ones,
feel like
you've done a
they've been there all along.
Yeah.
then it's
So good.
great. Scream 5 or Scream 2022, whatever the hell we're calling it, 5 Cream.
5 Cream. Oh, you beat me to it.
Just absolutely fails to embed those new characters with the old characters. It felt like clearly how it was made, that there were two different film shoots going on. There was the film shoots with Neve and with Courtney, and then there was the film shoots with the new kids, and they almost never interject. Even the big climactic scene at the end when they're all in the house together, they're still separate. Courtney and Neve are still doing their own thing in a different room to the others.
You're right,
And I just didn't... I liked Tara, Jenna Ortega's character. I thought she was really interesting. But Melissa Barrera, her character is terrible. Like, it keeps telling you, she's a tough girl, she was the black sheep, she was so dark, she had to leave town. There's nothing tough about her. She's a wet fish. She spends the whole film going, I'm so scared, I should leave. And her younger sister, who's been attacked, is like, don't leave. And is fucking tougher than her. Like, either let her be fragile or have her be tough, but stop telling me she's tough while she sits and cries and is scared.
Don't tell, show.
That's my rant.
We did a trailer breakdown at Scream 5, and I think we called it beat for beat exactly what was going to happen. Like,
I
every
still enjoyed it. Well, I did.
Yeah. And that's what I say. It's not a great movie, but I kind of had fun watching it.
It's fun, not good.
The first time I went to see it, I was so disappointed, and I spent the whole time watching it being like, this isn't good. This is bad. Like, that's wooden. That's really obvious. When I saw it the second time, I was actually late to the cinema, and I really needed to use the bathroom, but I was like, I'll go in, get my stuff down, watch the first attack, and then go then. And I waited a good hour into the film, because every time I went to go to use the bathroom, I was like, oh wait, no, this is a good scene. And then I sit back down. And then I go again, I'm like, oh no, this is a good scene too, I'll go. It took me ages to get to a point where I was like, okay, now I'll go. So there are good things in it, it just didn't come together for me. The cake didn't
Live up
rise.
to your expectations. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
What about you, Daisy? What have you got?
The only one I can kind of think of in terms of like more recent, like sort of going to the cinema, because Claire will tell you this. That I always end up finding some kind of positive. But this one I was kind of really disappointed at, actually, is Glass, which is the sequel to Unbreakable and Split. And now, I definitely didn't watch them all when they came out. I watched Unbreakable like many, many years after it came out. And I think it might have been around the time that Split came out. And I absolutely loved it. Like, I was really blown away. But I had no idea what to expect, and I really loved it. And I'm an unapologetic M. Night Shyamalan fan. And then I watched Split, and everyone had really hyped it up. And I'm sorry, but I don't really get that Anya Taylor-Joy hype. So maybe that probably...
You're wrong.
Maybe that probably didn't help. Unfortunately, I'm very influenced by people's hype. So if someone hypes something up and then I watch it, it will almost guarantee I will not disappointed, but I will not enjoy it as much. Whereas if I go into something blind, I'll probably enjoy it a lot more. So I wasn't a massive fan of Split anyway, but as I say, Unbreakable was like up there with one of the best films that I'd seen for the first time in the last few years before it. And then I watched Glass and I was like, this is just like the worst of neither of them. Like, it's come out of nowhere with all of this crap, and it's a superhero movie. Like, that's the whole point, right? It's a deconstruction of it. But then it just became like Marvel, and I'm like, what? This isn't...
It didn't even get that good. The final fight was in a car park, and he died in a puddle.
Yeah, I was going to say, they killed off their hero in a puddle.
Right. That's all to be honest, that's all I actually remember is that bit, and I think that kind of sums up the film. The
whole film feels like they lost money along the way, because all of the scenes, and I know it's because they're being hidden away from everyone, but the scenes are so empty and they're so wide, so they just show the emptiness. I'm sure there's symbolism there, but whatever. Yeah. And then, like you say, the big final battle was in a fucking car park. Yeah. I'd forgotten. Much as I didn't like Scream, I would like to change my answer to Glass, because I'm not mad on Unbreakable, but I adored Split. Yeah. I was I didn't know anything about shit.
There you go, it's ruined everybody. Well, no matter which one you preferred, this was awful.
I'm not a mad Shyamalan fan, but Split really blew me away, and it was the first time I'd seen Anya Taylor-Joy, and I was like, wow, she's good. And then, really excited for Glass, and just the group of people I went with, not one of us enjoyed it. I think it
just falls flat, I think.
That really like it, but it was kind of received quite flatly as well, as far as I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it didn't do well.
I don't think it did very well. That is a really good shout.
I want to talk about your worst, so let's go on to that.
We've spoken about this film so long already.
I've heard your episode about the film.
I was starting to listen to your episode, and I had to stop. I was like, no, I want this
fresh.
So, what is your worst ever sequel?
It's the 2009 sequel, S. Darko, sequel to Donnie Darko, which I just told my housemate this 5 minutes before we started recording, and she was like, who dared to try and sequelize a film like Donnie Darko?
Well, yeah, who did? I don't even remember who did. I don't remember who made it. Nothing.
A super fan of Donnie Darko who thought that all you had to do to make a good sequel was carbon copy the first film.
A guy called Chris Fisher.
Chris
Hey,
Fisher,
Chris. Sorry
He's
if you're
done some
listening.
other things.
Yeah, but mostly TV, I think, isn't he?
And mostly shit.
Yeah, mostly bad telly.
Well, I watched this last week. I've never watched a sequel that has put me off the original. And I love Donnie Darko. This is now a whole new category for me. It's like... Oh my god, is Donnie Darko a bad film as well?
My theory is you should have background checks and tests to direct or touch anything that is universally, well, not universally loved, but, loved by people. You can't just do what you want with it.
Now, whilst I appreciate where you are coming from when you say that, that's going to be picked up by the Star Wars men. And then they're gonna come up with whole new to touch Star Wars. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to
that. But in their eyes, no one could touch. No, listen. In their eyes, George Lucas shouldn't even touch Star Wars. So it's moot.
Oh, Star Wars fanboys! Don't we all just hate them?
Don't show my Star Wars posters.
You're not that kind of fanboy, Dave. It's okay.
No, I'm
You're
a nice.
Right.
I'm a grown up. Could you explain the storyline?
No, I can't.
Right.
Anyone
okay. I'm looking at my podcast notebook, but I'm not going to open it because I still have all my notes from when we did our episode on it. S. Darko follows Samantha Darko, the younger sister of the now deceased Donnie Darko, who has run away from home and is on a road trip when her and her friend get stuck in a small town. She has hallucinations or dreams where she finds herself going back in time. Through some weird random thing that I watched this scene 4 times and I still don't really know how it happens, she sort of gets run over and dies. Yeah. It's very sad. Her friend is very sad. Everyone in the town,
not sad
even
enough.
though they've only lived... She was a bit
Sad-ish.
sad. Her friend who, like, even though they've only been in the town for like 3 days, they were like, oh no, sad. And then somehow they figure out a way to reverse time, so they go back in time, and then they do it again. Though this time, then the other friend. So Samantha dies first, and the friend lives, and then this time round, Samantha dies. No,
The
one
friend
of them
dies, and then Samantha.
The step-up
friend
girl
dies.
dies,
The
yeah.
step-up girl dies the second time round.
Yeah.
And then she
Chuck
starts.
Bass from Gossip Girl kills her.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always hanging around, in this film.
And so is a guy from One Tree Hill, and so is another guy. And then Samantha gets bought a dress that we coined a condom dress and goes to watch an asteroid fall.
With a creepy guy.
With a creepy guy who
Twilight.
wasn't a creep. He was just a geek, but then all of a sudden he is a creep, and he tries to rape her and accidentally kills her because the asteroid has turned him into an alien.
And
maybe?
you've forgotten about Iraqi Jack.
And Iraqi Jack is the guy from One Tree Hill who then figures out again how to. He stumbles across her body with Chuck Bass, so then they take her body back, and then they figure out how to maybe go back in time, and then she doesn't die.
He's basically the one with who makes the mask, so he's like...
Is he the Donnie Darko?
No, see, this is the
Samantha's the Donnie
thing.
Darko.
All of the things are split across characters, which makes no sense.
Anyway, so they go back in time a third time, and Samantha lives, and she decides to go home and see her parents. And whilst all of this has gone on, in the background there's been a creepy priest and his creepy wife stealing and maybe murdering and abusing children. And because Samantha didn't die, no one ever finds the kid who's locked in a cage, and we all just have to live with the fact that her not dying means this kid dies in a cage. The end!
And the best friend's like, I think my purpose is to find that lost boy. And I was like, oh, she's going to die and somehow get the authorities to the boy. No, never mentioned again.
No. Just, yeah.
That is as best as I can
Well,
do.
it was bloody good.
But why?
Do you remember the scene in The Simpsons where Homer comes up with an idea for a movie and then tells it to Ron Howard, and then Ron Howard goes to the studios and he describes it, and then at the end he goes, and there's a talking pie, and he goes, the studio like, Howard, you've done it again. I have a feeling that's exactly how this movie got made because it's so stupid. It's so stupid on every level. It even looks awful. It looks like a made-for-TV movie. It looks like one of those Netflix Christmas movies that you have to re-edit, Dave.
Everything's blue filtered.
Yeah.
Got that cool 90s blue
It's
filter.
horrible.
And the
Also-
shitty music they're trying to make oh god.
And it's set in the 90s, but definitely all the fashion, all the hair, everything is styled like 2009.
It's supposed to be set in the 90s, is it?
Well, there you go.
I did not get that.
There you go.
Because it's only 5 years after Johnny Darko?
Yeah, did you not read the script that came up? It was 5,000 lines
At the beginning.
which
in cursive, in girly cursive.
it was all
I
We have
didn't
a
manage
rule
all of it.
now on our podcast that if it has to start with some sort of text, it's already a bad
thumbs
film.
down.
That rules out Top Gun and Top Gun 2 Maverick. So you have to take that back.
It wasn't. That's not bad writing. If it's badly
Because
written,
they're not explaining the plot.
yeah. If you have to set up
true.
and be like, okay guys, before you watch
That does
this
include all the Star
film, there's
Wars,
a
though.
ton of things you should know. Like
A couple of those Star Wars films, a couple of those Scrolls, and a couple of those Star Wars films deserve to be in this, and are proof of the reason for the rule.
True.
Hark!
Very good point.
Palpatine has spoken.
yeah, the Hark was. As soon as I saw that, I kind of slid down in my seat.
That's Rise of Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
The Hark, yeah. That whole film can get in the bin, so we're okay. It's all good.
Wait, I really liked the one of the droids though. He can stay.
I really loved
Cute
Babu
one that
Frick.
looked like a cone. He can, and Baba Frick, yeah. The critters, they can come. They
Always.
can get out of the bin, but the movie itself.
Critter amnesty.
Yeah. Whoever did the writing of the movie, that can get in the bin.
Terrible.
Yeah. That can
It's
all
almost
go.
like this film. It leads back to S. Darko. If you keep killing people and then 5 minutes later bring them back from the dead, it really lowers the stake anytime anyone dies.
I mean, I have watched the movie, and I didn't understand it until you just explained it.
Well, neither did I, Rich. Neither did I. We were on the podcast and she explained it, and I was like, I don't think I saw that film.
And I think, in
That's what I
fairness,
was
I think
thinking.
our guest really helped explain it to us.
Oh,
And
that's
then
true.
obviously I had to watch it, I had to write up my notes, I had to record the episode, and then I had to edit the episode. So really, I now
does
want to
help.
talk
Whereas
about
I
it
got
again.
to just go, whoosh, throw it away.
I've lived through this movie more times than I should have done.
Just like Astarco.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah.
first time you watched it was that for your
Yeah.
podcast?
Yeah.
Did you know about it previously?
Don't think so.
I feel like I maybe very briefly had like
Seen it.
heard it, instantly forgot it.
Yeah.
Like just
Like, sort of like, I
Deleted.
mean, we it was one of those ones where you look at the list of films that you've got on the watch list when you create a podcast like that, and you look through and you see certain films do stand out, and I think that was one of them for me, and I'm sure I would have seen it around in like HMV and things like that, but never in a million years did I have any kind of urge to go near it.
Me neither, girls, so thank you.
I think I'd heard of it as like, you know, one of those mythical, terrible sequels that
Right.
that everyone classes like one of the worst films ever made. Like,
yeah.
Well,
it's not on the bottom 100 anymore.
It's
Well, no,
not,
it does.
but-
It fell off.
yeah,
Yeah, I heard. on
Is
your-
that a good thing
your-
or a bad
your
thing?
episode, yeah.
A good thing.
it's good for them.
Good thing for the movie, bad thing for humanity.
Yeah, precisely.
Because like a couple of things, what went back on at the moment, which it's fallen off a couple of times and keeps coming back, is Teen Wolf 2.
The Jason Bateman.
Oh,
No, I've never
Teen
seen
Wolf 2 is a lot better than Estarco.
Well,
Yeah.
you need to make,
to make
yourself a little
some votes.
IMDb profile. Yeah, you need to do some.
And
some
while you're there,
ratings.
make a Rotten Tomatoes account and vote and vote for
And please
Flintstones.
vote up the Flintstones.
Doing the Lord's
Flintstones
work.
like 94 has a lower rating on Rotten Tomatoes than Estarco.
What?
Yeah.
What? Rotten Tomatoes just baffles me constantly.
Audience rating, not critic rating. Audiences.
They
Audiences
don't
Rotten
know what
Tomatoes.
they're talking about.
I don't think enough people have seen Estarco to comment on it.
We've done like 15-ish films, and I think so far only 3 films have a lower audience score on Rotten Tomatoes than the Flintstones. All the other films that are in the bottom 100 have higher audience scores than
They're talking about
Flintstones.
the sequel to Flintstones, right?
No,
Not the Flintstones.
no, the Flintstones 1994, John Goodman. Yep.
Original Flintstones.
Wow.
That has a place in my heart.
Well,
Yeah.
Get voted.
Can you please get on Rotten Tomatoes and then please improve the audience score, please?
Right, we need to be certified fresh critics now, Dave. That's the goal
This is
for
just
us.
audience. This isn't critics. This is just audiences.
Oh, God.
they don't know
It's
what
even
they
worse.
want. They don't know whether they have a good thing.
Did you know that the original writer of Donnie Darko, he has nothing. He's like, I don't want anything
Oh, he's
to do with this.
condemned
For
this.
sure.
Yeah, and they tried to get all the cast back, and all the cast were like, no, apart from the
Yeah, that
sister.
tells you everything you need to know, really, doesn't it?
And they tried to get Swayze back for the
Swayze
priest.
was going to do it. Swayze was going to do it, but
Oh my
it was when he was dying. So
Oh, okay.
Oh,
he was too ill.
I'm glad he's not in that part.
Yeah.
But how could they
Yeah.
get him back to... They wanted him back to play a different character.
No, they had to rewrite the character when they couldn't get Swayze
Right,
back.
okay,
Which is
okay.
why and I think we said when we did our episode it would have made a lot more sense as well.
Yeah.
Like I wondered how much had to be rewritten when they couldn't
Yeah.
get the original cast back, because there's no point to them being in that town and there's no point to their connection. Whereas obviously there's the implication in the first film that he abused her in the dance troops. Oh my god, why can I not remember their name? They're like
Sparkle
Sparkle
Motion.
Motion. My commitment to Sparkle Motion is clearly lacking.
Yeah, well.
Damn. But yeah, there's like the implication that Sparkle Motion had been abused, and so I believe one of the original ideas was that she went to find him and she's gone to
Right.
kind of confront him.
So there was some sort of actual
that's a better movie, isn't it?
purpose to...
Yeah, but
film.
then Swayze wasn't in it for his various
Obvious
reasons.
reasons.
Yeah.
As soon as Swayze can be in it, they should have just dropped that storyline.
Yeah, because it kind of comes in and comes out and comes in and comes out,
I
and
was
they
going to
forget
say,
about it.
I completely missed that storyline
Yeah.
until like right at the end.
Well, it's when they show you the kid still in the cage at the end, and you're like, oh damn, that kid is just living in that cage now then.
Didn't they say they found his body though? Didn't they find the kid's
Only in
body?
one timeline.
Yeah,
Oh
only one
right,
time.
okay.
One timeline they find his body, I think one timeline they save him, and then the final timeline they just leave him there.
I did read an interview with the director, and he was like, well, if there's a third, it can all be about, Georgie.
No, thank you. Because they are the original director of Donnie Darko is always like, I would do a real sequel, but
I love
like,
that. They
there's
would
no
just
money and stuff
completely
like that.
ignore the existence of Estarco, and it would be wonderful.
Well, that is a thing now. Films have started to do that.
Yeah. Just hop on back.
What? I'm just trying to think of some examples.
Well, Halloween is the big
Halloween, that's a big one that ignores what's going on.
That's a very good point.
They don't even acknowledge the quite decent Halloween 2, which sets in motion that they are brother and sister. I don't like it. I don't like living in a world where Michael and Laurie aren't related. Makes me sad. I like the new Halloweens. Just wish they'd left that one detail in. Evil dies tonight, Daisy. And I won't have you
dies tonight. Except it didn't, did it? So doesn't matter how much shout about it. I was tempted to say,
I love them.
Like that was my disappointing one, but I didn't love the reboot enough to say that. And also, I also watched them all in preparation for Halloween Kills. I'd seen 1 and 2 before, but I hadn't seen all the others. So, like, watching the Halloween 2018 just before that, there wasn't enough love there for me to say I was disappointed. I just really didn't like it.
Is Halloween Resurrections on your list? Is it in the bottom 100?
There's no Halloween films because we definitely would have done them already because I love Halloween films. I've not seen all of them, but...
Trick or treat, motherfucker! That's Busta Rhymes kicking Michael Myers.
Oh yeah, I saw it. I marathoned them all in October.
Wow.
There's almost no horror. I think there's a handful of horror films, but there's no horror franchise films on the list.
Yeah. Troll 2, is that on there?
Troll 2's on there, yeah.
Oh yeah, Troll 2 is on there. I always forget that's like a franchise. No, that isn't Troll 2 just... There's no troll.
Oh, there's no trolls.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand.
Troll 2, for us at university, was like the room for people. Like, we used to watch it like religiously.
Someone had a copy of Troll 2 and we'd all go around that person's house and watch it.
Just because we knew it was so awful.
We all did that with the Human Centipede.
I'm never watching that.
We've got both of the sequels on our list.
Done one.
Oh, no.
I was with a friend the other night, actually, we were talking about films. I can't remember the specific topic, but he said, I can't believe you've seen The Human Centipede and you haven't seen Vertigo. And I was like, let me correct you. I've seen all 3 of The Human Centipedes, and I've seen the second one twice, and I haven't seen Vertigo.
Jesus.
Vertigo ain't worth watching, to be fair.
Well. I mean, it's probably more worth watching than
what these podcasts
Centipede.
make us do, right?
Right? Slave to the podcast.
Have you ever tried ranking them yourselves? Where would you put S. Darko? Oh, obviously it's on the podcast. It's worth to have a sequel, but you've done other things that are not sequels.
So we do rate the films at the end of every episode, and I used to write down our ratings in a book, and then I used to we had a letterbox where I would put mine in order, but I kind of let that die.
Yeah, you sound very much like how organised we are.
I'm just gonna hop onto that little letterbox.
Yeah, we should go back. We should go back and carry on doing that for sure, because it would be interesting to.
And when you say we,
I mean, I'll say I'll do it, and then I won't end up doing it.
We're so very similar.
I would rate S. Darko as one of the lower ones, definitely on the list.
It's hard though, because like obviously it's 2 of us, and we don't always agree. Very rarely do we give the same rating.
Okay, so Daisy, your ranks list only has 3 films.
Oh
on
yeah,
it.
because we were supposed to do it ourselves. Sure.
You put the bottom one as Date
Well,
Movie.
yes, I would.
That is a bad movie.
Is S. Darko better or worse than Date Movie?
Better, because it at least has some semblance of interestingness to it.
And my bottom one is Jack and Jill. And again, I would say S. Darko's a better movie than Jack and
Can't
Jill.
have Jack and Jill at the bottom when you've got Dunkachinos involved.
S. Darko is possibly the second worst sequel that we've had on here. I think Sex and the City 2 is worse, just because it's more offensive.
Right.
Like it's a terrible movie, and it's also hideously offensive.
I've not seen a single episode or either of the films.
I've not seen a single episode or the first film, but I have seen Sex and the City 2.
I've seen all of them numerous times. The series is great. The movie is brilliant, and it is the rare feat that it honours the show, keeps the tone of the show, but also really works as a standalone movie. It manages to toe that line really well. No one thought it would. The second movie what were they thinking? What were they doing? As a fan of the whole franchise, there are tiny bits of the second film that I do like because I like those characters and I've seen those characters grow. But even I remember seeing that in the cinema and we all went as a big group of us.
I didn't know the
was a
characters.
mess.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a mess. I didn't know the characters at all, so I came out of it going, is this like Succession and we're supposed to hate the horrible rich people? Like, is that what it's supposed to be like? And it's not.
Unfortunately, because they've now done then the sequel series and just like that. And they continue to do the same thing. Like, I watched that, a group of us watched it together online every week when it was airing, and we were like, why are they all so horrible now? Were they always this horrible? But yeah, Sex and the City 2 it's a bad film and an offensive sequel.
Yeah.
And just a train wreck of a movie, really.
It really is. Is that? I don't know if that's on your bottom 100 list, but it should be. It should be
When
the bottom.
When you watch films for the podcast or sequels, do you tend to watch the first one? Do you just go?
I ain't got time for that.
You just go straight in.
Sometimes.
I've watched a lot more films than Rich.
Yeah. Dave's basically a film encyclopedia, and the reason this podcast came about is because even though I studied film at university, I've seen very few sequels. It turns out,
Right.
like Dave, I hadn't seen The Godfather Part 2. I have now seen it, but I'd seen The Godfather. Haven't seen Part 2. I still haven't seen Part 3. But yeah, I tend to watch the first ones and then drift off and not watch the sequels. So the whole point of this was I would get to watch some sequels.
I love that.
But some of them have been rubbish.
Well,
You do ask people to pick their worst.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
Yeah.
Someone's Worth sequel was John Wick 2, so Rich did watch John Wick 1.
I
and then
actually
John
listened
Wick
to that
2.
and I was heartbroken because John Wick 2, I'm pretty sure, was on my list for one of my favourite sequels.
Hey, everyone's good film is someone's worst film kind of thing.
This is why this podcast is great, because some people's worst sequels are some people's best sequels. And me and Dave are very easily convinced either way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, I felt pleased having listened to the couple of episodes that I listened to in preparation for this. I knew this would be a safe space for the return of Jafar.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. So someone out there is actually going to like S. Darko.
Someone.
Tell us who you are. Show yourself.
What is the most surprising sequel you've seen? So maybe you didn't enjoy the first one and you kind of got dragged to see the second one and you came out and thought, hey, that was better than the other one. So it doesn't just have to be the sequel. It can be like number 6,
Sure.
7, 5.
Oh, you've just made me think of one actually. Now you said 6, 7. Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Because
That's a good
I
shout.
hadn't seen any of them, and then probably around the time of don't get me wrong, I've only watched them all once, and I don't remember what they're all called. It might have been when the latest one came out. I was like, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to watch them all. And I watched the first one. I was like, is this the right film? It's got Tom Cruise in, but this isn't like any of the trailers I've seen. And I was like, I don't really get, like, it's good, but it's not what I thought it was going to be. And then 2 came in, I was like, okay, this is good, but I can't see the connection. And then it started ramping up and I was just like, oh, okay. Now it's getting to, and like, I'm not a massive action film fan, like self-proclaimed, but the stuff that is in those films, and this is why I liked Top Gun Maverick so much, because it was very reminiscent of that kind of those kind of thrills. It's like, I get so bored of just CGI mess and too fast cutting that you don't see anything. That was kind of a breath of fresh air when I sort of like watched all of those and saw it all ramping up, and you know, just a big and it all led to watching the latest one in the cinema, and I was just like, okay, I think they've just got better and better every time. Very much departed from where it started, but that's by the by. I don't think anyone's too precious about the first one in that sense.
Is this another like Fast and Furious thing where they started off stealing DVDs? Is that
Yes,
what has
but
happened
that is like the other side of the coin. If it was to get bigger but not better necessarily.
Yeah.
The first Fast and Furious isn't necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's the best film ever, but it's a very interesting and fun film.
It's Point Break with cars.
It's Point Break.
Yeah.
But now it's just got, it's got bigger and stupid.
Yes. It's definitely got stupid.
Well, that's because Vin Diesel's a madman.
Well,
Yeah.
And he's a different kind of madman to Tom
yeah,
Cruise.
you got to pick your madmen,
Both
right?
madmen,
You know,
yeah.
there's different kinds. So
I'll take John Hamm, please.
he's a madman.
The
I respect
madman.
I like it.
I think mine's a really boring one. We always joke that Daisy's a film bro, and what I am is a basic bitch who just watches MCU films, apparently, because whenever I go on other people's podcasts, I'm like, oh, I guess I'll pick an MCU film. But I'm going to go with Thor Ragnarok. Because I really didn't like the first 4 films, so much that I actively skipped Dark World.
You just hate Kenneth Branagh, though, don't you?
I really dislike Kenneth Branagh as a director. Genuinely, like, happy
what about
to go
Poirot?
off on it. Not bothered. Okay. Not seen. Not care.
Have you not seen Death on the Nile? The Tash has an original, like an origin story.
I've heard.
It's bananas, but also I quite enjoyed it.
I really don't like Kenneth Branagh as a director. Like, I spent the whole of Thor being like, just straighten the fucking camera. It's like, canter-dangle, because Thor's world is upside down.
Shakespeare.
Like, it's so reminiscent. We're gonna just put it off angle so we know that Thor doesn't quite feel at home. We fucking get it, you're a hack. Apologies. So I really don't like the first one. I used to teach film studies, and the exam topic was superhero films, and we used to have to watch them in class, and I'd never let them watch Thor because I didn't like it. I'd always use certain scenes of it as the fake exam topic, so then I'd only have to watch like a 5-minute clip. Actively avoided seeing Dark World at the cinema. I ended up watching it with my students.
That might be
when I was
the
teaching.
Worst film in the MCU, to be fair.
Yeah,
it's definitely down.
I didn't care for it. I've seen it once, never gone back to it. I did an entire MCU rewatch a couple of years ago. When Disney Plus first came out, over the year, I very slowly did an MCU rewatch, and I defo just skipped over Dark World. just didn't do it. Wasn't putting myself through it. Really, I loved Thor Ragnarok. I wasn't going to go and see it in the cinema. I was going to skip it, and then every trailer I saw, I just kept being like, God damn, that does.
I mean, it's such a
really
Kenneth Branagh, Taika Waititi. It's like, you know,
massively different.
Scale.
I love the human, and I love Chris Hemsworth as a himbo.
Yes.
Let the man be stupid. So, like, they finally let him be stupid. They dropped Branagh, thank God. I know he didn't do the second one either, but his influence was all over it.
His stench was...
And I'm not mad on Loki either, and so I know Loki's in Thor Ragnarok, but he's not like the villain. Like, there's other shit going on, so it's interesting, it's different. We've got new worlds, we've got new characters.
You've got Kate Blanchett.
There's some colour. There's some excitement.
What can Kate Blanchett in an exciting outfit not do? Kate Blanchett in a pantsuit can rule the world, and she tries in this film with added headdress. So yeah, really, really surprised by how much I loved that one. It's like, I think it's in my top 3 of MCU films. If it's defo top 5, I think it might be top 3.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's. I think it's in my top 3. Yeah, 100%. I love Ragnarok. Great film.
I'm hesitant about Love and Thunder. I'll definitely go see it, and I really hope I like it, but the trailer hasn't wowed me.
Okay.
I'm hesitant.
I think it's got potential, but I can see why you're hesitant. I can see why, yeah.
I have a worry it might go too far into Taika
Yeah.
and comedy. I mean, Ragnarok was... They tried to keep the straight...
And it was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, this could be too much.
Yeah.
This is what I like about Ragnarok, is that it is funny, because... But it's also kind of serious and scary at the same time, because life is funny and serious and scary all at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think movies do that enough, in that, you know, trying to pigeonhole movies into genres is that life doesn't have genres. You know, it's not like that. So
sorry, mine is a very sexy French depressive movie. It's in black and white. I spend a lot of time gazing out windows. Have you know, that is my genre. I don't speak French, but it's subtitled, so it's fine.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know what mine would be.
No, I don't know what mine would be either. Yeah,
like a dramedy.
It'd be a dramedy.
I was about to say
wouldn't
Sideways, but I was listening to an episode today of yours, and I think, Claire, you said you don't like Sideways. So
now, again, in fairness, I watched it when I was like 15. I don't think Sideways is made for a 15-year-old English girl.
No,
probably not.
Don't think that's so. I would be, because it's quite like a midlife crisis-y, isn't it? So I would be interested to give that a rewatch as an adult. Because don't think that was made for the 15-year-old white girl from suburban London.
If you now drink wine,
I don't drink wine, but I do drink.
You'll appreciate it then. What is your dream sequel?
I'm excited about
Speaking
this
about
one.
drinking wine.
Let's party!
Okay, should we try and do it together? Ready?
Okay, we're not going to do
3, 2, 1. Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids.
We tried.
Brilliant.
Can you please sync that up on the edit so it sounds like we did it?
No.
I love that you're as coordinated as we are.
Talking about films that represent you, I do feel like I have a special place in my heart for Kristen Wiig's character in this.
Yeah, she is
Hella
me,
relatable.
I am her. Yeah. She is me, I am her, we are one. I cannot tell you the amount of weddings I have had to go to, the weddings I have been a part of that I haven't wanted to be a part of. I can't tell you how much I hate Hindus. Just, yeah, the vibe of that whole film is so strong. And as the one of my friends who's the bit of the fuck up and earns the least money, I feel it. I feel it so deeply down inside me.
Oh dear.
We actually, even though we picked this film as our dream sequel, we have not discussed it whatsoever. So I have no idea what Daisy's dream idea of a Bridesmaid sequel is.
My theory is, right, we're getting so many, like, the whole sequel thing has been going on since the dawn of time. But now we've got, like, then we have, like, the reboots and the soft reboots. And now we've got the legacy sequels. I portmanteau that in case anyone was
Legacy sequels.
Legacy sequels. And just coming hot off just Jurassic World Dominion, which made me want to claw my own eyes out. I just feel like sometimes we just need to take the characters from the first one and see where they are a few years later and just let them do what they want and kind of just have the same thing happen again.
Just meet back up for the vibes.
This Bridesmaids 2 is what we should have had instead of Hangover 2 and Hangover 3, is my theory.
Hangover 2 is one of the darkest films I've ever seen. Like, I don't think we all as a society discuss how dark Hangover
considering
2
Todd
is.
Phillips directed it, I think he considered we were in a society. But no.
Just, yeah, that film. Really, really
The fact
not
that
funny.
we got 3
really
Hangover
dark.
films and 1 Bridesmaid film, misogyny.
Yeah.
But no, I just feel like we've lost the funness of sequels. Everything has to be part of a cinematic universe or bring back the people from the originals just so they can pose in the same way so that everyone goes, oh, yes, I remember. Or it has to...
I get that reference.
I remember.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like...
Yeah.
Or it has to... Or it's like doing this new gritty version. No, sometimes I just want to see the same characters fuck around again in a couple of different versions of the same scenes we've already seen, you know? And the perfect way to do that is just something with Bridesmaids where it literally is as simple as someone else in the group gets married. Like, no, I don't need any other information. I don't need any kind of plot. All you need to do is roll the dice on these characters. What other situations would they get in if they all had to do that all over again?
I want to see where Annie and Rhodes get married. Like, that kind of... When Annie's the bride.
Yeah, that's such a good shout, actually, because it's slightly new and slightly different, but...
That's option A, because I had 2 options for my dream. But that's very much option A, because if you do that one, then you get the great thing that we can introduce some of Annie's other friends.
Yes.
And so that's when you bring Amy Poehler in, and that's when you bring all of those guys in, and you have a
Yeah.
great time. And then you can bring back as many of the old cast as you can, but you don't have to bring them all back if, say, they don't want to come back.
That's a really
because
good
technically
point.
they weren't her friends. And also then, like, it would be quite funny because Annie is, like, seen as this, like, lower class kind of trashier person just because she doesn't have as much money. So, like, because the only problem with it being Annie's wedding is you have to have Rose Byrne back. It doesn't work without Rose Byrne.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way to bring her into
She could
it.
be like the wedding planner or something. Like, she could...
I was just going to say
Yeah,
that.
she could have
then,
gone
like-
off and made her own thing.
Makes the trashiest wedding, like, really insulting,
Yeah.
but not meaning, like, you like
Really
tacos, I thought
passive-aggressive.
we would just have a taco cake. And it'd be like, no.
Yeah, because it could be set up as if like they've kind of made amends now, and
They're civil.
Yeah,
They see each other at parties,
you know,
at birthdays.
and like what is I'm just sorry, I'm terrible with forgetting things at the moment.
They're
but...
both godmothers to the child of Maya Rudolph.
So Maya
kind of
Rudolph's like, just give her a chance, like, she'll be great, like, and they've kind of like put their things aside, and maybe there's a reason, like, maybe like Annie's wedding planner, like, just falls through at the last minute and she's like desperate.
Annie doesn't have a wedding planner. Annie is not the kind of
That's
person that has a
very
wedding
true.
planner.
So
that,
something
that
drastic
is
needs to
Maya
happen.
Rudolph's gift. No, that's Maya
yeah.
Rudolph's gift to her. I'm gifting you
Even
a wedding
better.
And she's like,
planner.
thanks.
I didn't want this.
No, I love that. Oh, fuck, why aren't they making this?
So my option B was either that, or we do it. Maya Rudolph is having a baby, and it's about baby shower and about the fact that they have to be the godparents, and that's how you keep
Holy
Kristen
shit.
Wiig and Rose Byrne in it at each other.
That's
It's
very
bringing
interesting.
the next step of Maya Rudolph
See,
having a
yeah,
baby.
I can see why you've chosen those, and they both could work on very different ways. If you
either get new cast or
if you
old
really
cast.
want to just go through that journey again, just in different scenarios, go for the second. But if you want to kind of elevate it a little bit and see the characters do something different, I would vote option A personally.
Yeah, it's just the reason I would only go for... The only reason you need option B is if you can't figure out how to get Rose Byrne into option A, but I feel like we've solved that here, so...
You could almost have both. You could,
And it's
Maya
like
Rudolph's character could
overshadowing
have a
her
baby.
wedding or something.
Oh my god, yeah, that's it. So she's finally getting married, and she's like, hey, and then Maya Rudolph's like, pregnant.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, this is too good. I'm actually quite upset. It's so good.
Dave, can you phone your mate Paul Feig and get him to make this movie, please?
I'll send him a message. I have interviewed him about this, and I did ask him about if there's ever going to be a Bridesmaids 2, and he said he will literally do it if Christine Wiig wrote it.
Oh, wow.
Because they have...
But she's not writing it.
She wrote it with... Is the other woman Annie something? No, or I just made that up. I think because that's her name. In the
Yeah,
film.
you're right. Annie Mumolo?
Yeah,
Mumolo?
so
Yeah.
they just said they just can't come up with an
Well.
idea that would be as good. That's, but I think they did genuinely look at doing it, and they're like, the well isn't there. The well is dry.
Wow. They're not working hard enough because we just came up with something in about 5 minutes.
They need to employ you guys, because that took all of 2 minutes.
You still need Melissa McCarthy back, right? Because
Yeah.
she got nominated for an Oscar or something crazy for her.
But her and Annie do bond in the film, so you can see that they could.
She's like
friends.
the friend who is really zany and quirky and does her everything, but then when you need her to kind of give you a bit of a slap in the face, get back down to her. Well, this is exactly what she does in the first film, isn't it? So I can see her being there a bit more on the outskirts, maybe not as much of a focus this time because you don't want to go have too much Melissa McCarthy.
My God, she'd have the part of the legend, when you get an older actor in a film, they're the legendary actor. So most of her scenes would just be calling. So she'll be calling to fix things because she's clearly rich.
yeah.
And you just have the dogs everywhere, all the puppies.
I was going to say, I just want all the puppies grown up.
She would just be constantly on the phone from her Labrador farm,
Yes.
throwing money, fixing the problems, being like, chill out, and then she'll turn up in the big like Cher in Mamma Mia 2. She'll get off the plane at the
Love
end
it.
of in the big climax and at the end of the film and be like, I'm here.
I love it. No notes.
Brilliant.
No revisions.
That's it.
She's a big star now. That would work. There will have to be a musical number at the end. Any ideas for the song?
Oh, it's
a
really
banger.
hard to...
It's a banger. It would need
It's
to be
hard
from
to
that
say.
era, right?
That, and I don't know
No.
that era because they're a different
Generation.
They're
Yeah, we
older
don't
than
know.
us. Because I instantly was like Backstreet Boys, but they are too old for Backstreet Boys.
I don't know. They've been going for 30 years, Backstreet Boys. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I think we need something a bit more 80s, don't we? Because Wilson and Phillips was
Yeah.
80s.
New Kids on the Block, then.
I feel like the Bangles or something like that.
Yeah.
Bangles are too
Bangles.
obvious.
Maybe two, yeah.
Just if I've heard of them, then they're too obvious because I don't know any 80s music.
No, I think Eternal Flame could work.
Do love a bit of Eternal.
You could see her sing it to him as she's giving birth.
Yeah.
Right? You can hear Kristen Wiig singing Eternal Flame in her waving voice, and she's like, and she's like singing to Maya Rudolph as she's giving birth. No, sorry.
Yeah,
That's
I can
it.
see it. I can see it.
That could happen.
I'm so mad this film doesn't exist. I'm so mad and upset.
How often do you watch it? Is it like a yearly thing?
Last time I
Bridesmaids?
watched it with Daisy, but from afar. We watched it at the same time and texted each other throughout the whole film, being like quipping.
Yeah.
And then like I told her about my horror story when I was a best man and the groom ended up in A&E and the groom's brother ended up in jail, which is a story for another time. And I told her about the time where I got disinvited as someone's bridesmaid.
I've got all of this
And,
shit to look forward to because it's not the first time I'm bridesmaid. I was bridesmaid 6 or 7 times when I was a child. My family is full of divorce. Marriage, but then divorce. And this is the first time I'm bridesmaid for an actual friend. So I'm starting to feel like maybe bridesmaids will have another level of like resonance.
It really,
Yeah,
it gives me a little bit of PTSD sometimes.
See, I can only see the fun in it right now, but I'm sure in a couple of years' times when I'm bored of weddings, that will...
Yeah. That rewatch, we were like, oh my god, like Mary Rudolph character's such a bitch. And it's like, oh, I had someone say basically these exact words to me once.
Obviously,
Rough times.
I've never been a bridesmaid, but I've been to plenty of weddings and lots of stag do's, and I'm with you on the not like in hen do's. I hate stag do's so
Do you?
much.
And they're so expensive, and they go on for days. Like, what happened to just getting pissed up at the pub? What happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Just do that. And yeah, there's always someone who wants to drag you to a strip club. And I think me and you, Dave, last time someone was drag us to a strip club, we just went to a pub next door.
But let us know when you're out.
No,
Yeah.
it's fine. We'll just go somewhere else.
I fucked up a moment at Rich's wedding. So
Oh, you did. Yeah, you did. So Dave was in charge of playing our first dance song, and halfway through he stopped it and started it again.
Why? Why would
Do a
you
little
do
reload.
that?
Do-do-do-do.
no, I was trying to set up the next song, but then it was just the same song again.
You don't fuck up the first dance.
It was all right. We didn't really want to have a first
So
dance,
you were
to be
like,
honest.
we're
We
going
were
to make it do it twice.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. It's just like, like, you had one job, Dave, one.
I was like behind the curtain just going, sorry.
Yeah, he had one job and he's so good and so dedicated. He did that one job twice.
I'm
to make
actually
sure
in
it was
charge of the
perfect.
music at my friend's wedding as well, so I'm a little bit worried now. But I give the playlist to the DJ, so it's not my fault.
Yeah.
I'm just
That's
preempting
okay. You'll be all
anything
right.
that
You'll be
happens is
fine.
not my fault.
At the last minute, the wedding that I was best man of, the day before the wedding, like literally before I had to drive, it was like a different part of England, and about 2 hours before I was getting in my car, he was like, oh, do you have a computer that would burn a disc? They don't have a USB stick thing at the venue. They need the music on a CD. So I had to buy all of the songs from iTunes because we needed to make sure they were the proper copies just in case. No illegal downloading here. And had to like get them all, burn them onto a disc, and then bring them up to the place. And then on the morning of, I forgot the disc. I had to ring my boyfriend who was at the hotel because I had to go with the groom to like get everything really set up early. I had to ring my boyfriend who was still in bed in the hotel room. I was like, you do have to get up and you are going to have to miss breakfast because I need you to get to this specific pub in the next 15 minutes before our taxi to the venue arrives.
Amazing. I had a CD for my own wedding. I gave the DJ at the wedding, I was like, song number 6. And then at the end of the night, when it was coming to the time to play the first song, he's like, are you sure it's this CD song? And I was like, yeah. What I had given him was Moana soundtrack.
No way.
Luckily, he was like, you probably might want to check. And I was like, oh, shit.
What was song number 6 on the Moana soundtrack?
Oh, I think it might have been Shiny. Yeah. Make way.
You could make it made it work, you know.
Yeah.
The crowd
Anyway.
would have gone wild.
Yeah. Well, we both like Moana. It's a great...
I was going to say, you have to have liked it to have given the CD over.
Dave's stag do, your stag do, mate, was the best. I had such a brilliant time at your stag do. We went to...
We dressed him as a wizard.
Yeah, Dave was a hobbit and we were all dressed as wizards. It was amazing.
That's great.
I was the only one who kept my wizard costume on all night, and I just had random people coming up to me going, why are you a wizard? I was like, why not? I like it.
Why did you not?
I like being a wizard. But yeah, that was great. We had
Not
great
enough
fun.
fancy dresses with hen dos. Hen dos are all about like just the really expensive slutty outfit and having to have really good hair and makeup. Not enough fancy dress at an old hen do.
Oh, I hate fancy.
I don't like fancy dress because it's also effort, but at the same time, the effort of having to like put really high heels on and do all your hair and do all your makeup.
It's like you can get away with looking shit if it's fancy dress.
Yeah, like it would take
And
a bit
men
of
can
pressure
do
off.
that as well.
Yeah.
We can go away with this shit. Paul Feig, if you're listening, or Kristen Wiig, we've got loads of stories there.
A plethora. We can reel off ideas. If you want us to spitball anymore, we're there.
I'd also like a Ghostbusters sequel too, please, if you're at it.
The 2016.
She might be the
Yeah, love it. I know, I'm the only.
I liked it, but-
M from Verbal Diorama agrees with me.
Okay. I don't think it's the worst movie ever. I'm certainly not one of these people that hate on it, but I also think it could do with being like 10% funnier and 20% scarier.
See, it's Kristen Wiig just works for me in almost everything.
She is great.
And Holtz really works for me in different ways. Questions were raised after watching that movie.
And Chris Hemsworth being him back.
Chris Hemsworth being a himbo. And yeah, I think I've kind of established, whilst Paul Feig is not the best director that I like, I think he's my favourite consistent director. Like, he doesn't make my favourite movies, but I enjoy all of his movies consistently. Like,
Spy is a fantastic film.
that's the thing, like, Spy is not my kind of genre at all, but I had an ex who made me watch it, and like I couldn't help but chuckle. Like, it is good. Like,
It's
it
funny.
works, yeah. So that's the thing, I think he is consistent. He doesn't make, grand 5-star award winning, but you know when there's the Paul Feig label on it, that you're gonna get some chuckles, you're gonna see some funny ladies, maybe you'll see some good costumes, and a nice time will be had.
Bye.
Apart from the Ghostbusters men, who are just bitchy dickens.
Yeah. We've certainly had we had Sean Walsh, the comedian, who was not a fan of Ghostbusters 2016. But yeah, never mind.
It's fine.
But hopefully we'll get you one day. I reckon one day you'll get your Bridesmaid sequel. I do.
Oh my god, it'll be a funeral.
Oh my god.
No,
Do you know it could be?
Yeah.
we could, yeah, we could.
Oh, it should be Maya Rudolph's husband. He dies, and then they have to band round her.
I love how you've just decided who you want to kill off.
Well, because I was like, I don't want to kill any of the girls off, and I'm like, and why would the girls all need to get together if one of them died? I'm like, oh, like he dies and her whole life crumbles because he was her whole life, and like all of her best friends in the world, who were her bridesmaids, have to come together to support her through a very traumatic time. But it's funny because Hollywood doesn't seem to realise that death actually can be quite funny. I think, and if anyone could make death funny, Kristen Wiig could make death funny. That's option C. If you're all too old
Wild
to
cards.
get married and have babies, we can start killing people.
Those were Clare and Daisy from W-Rated's Unequal Sequels. Oh, it's always nice to have a duo of guests. Maybe, I understand for you editing it's a lot of work, so we only do it once a series, but it worked brilliantly with Cine Mile, and I think it worked brilliantly with W-Rated as well.
It is a lot of fun. I hope the recording and the podcast it comes across how much fun that was to record.
Yeah.
Because it was literally just 4 people giggling for like an hour and a half, and we have lots in common with that podcast. But they've gone extreme. At least we watch good sequels and good films.
True.
They have just set themselves to watch shit films after shit films, and I don't know how they do it. I respect them for it, and I think they're both brilliant. And their podcast is brilliant.
Absolutely, I think respect them for it is the line. Sometimes when I listen to their podcast, I do think, why are you putting yourselves through this? It's so awful.
Yeah, I think we learned that with Baywatch, that we could do
Yeah, true. That is a good point. But yeah, I mean, what brilliant sequels to talk about, though. Shrek 2, a personal favourite of mine. Absolutely love Shrek 2.
Yeah.
I think it's a brilliant case of a sequel that's better than the original.
I think we said that in our episode when we did those sequels that are better than originals. I think we both put it in there. I can't remember what name because that was a long time ago now, but if not, it should be. We should look at that again. But
It's definitely in there. And an S. Darko, a truly terrible sequel.
I think this might be the worst of the season. You think Sex and the City?
I do think Sex and the City 2 is the worst sequel that we've done, mainly because I think it's more offensive, and that's probably what makes it worse. But in terms of what's a worse film, a less watchable film, S. Darko definitely kind of wins for me.
I just don't get it. I don't know how they got to that point and made it.
No,
Who
no,
really
it's
lit it?
terrible.
How did it happen? Pointless sequels. It's the most pointless one we've watched, right?
It is, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Because
It's
most of the
definitely-
other ones we talked about, there seems to be like their point to us. Oh, he made money or it was good and we got a sequel. This one,
Yeah.
Donnie Darko did not need a sequel.
No,
It doesn't
no,
even
not
leave it
at all.
open for a sequel. There's nothing saying, "Hey, there's a sequel here." It's truly awful. But you guys, you should watch it. It's there to rent.
It's one, yeah. It's one of those ones that you have to watch to understand how truly awful it is.
Yeah. And Dream, Bridesmaids.
Brilliant choice. Such a good
I
choice.
still believe it's going to be made one day. In my heart, I think it's going to happen.
Well, you got Paul Feig's number, mate. You can give him a call and convince him.
I don't think it's him who we need convincing. I think it's
Tell him we've
Christine-
got a script.
Christine, honestly, guys, some of those ideas we were thrown out at the end of that are really good.
I think we could put together a half decent movie at least.
I think, yeah, better than
Like,
some other people.
there's scope for it there.
Yeah.
I really loved recording that podcast. I really enjoyed it. It was so nice to have them both on.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you've not listened to W Rated, then you can find it in all of your good pod shops, and even the bad pod shops have got it too. So get on there, download it, have a listen. I mean, maybe listen to their S Darko episode so they can tell you in even more detail how terrible it is. But yeah, definitely worth going and listening to those guys. They are fantastic. But don't forget, you can also listen to us. We've got loads more episodes. If you're a big W-rated fan and you've just tuned in for this episode, then we've got loads of other brilliant Unequal Sequel episodes for you to go back and listen to. We're almost at the end of season 3, so there's a whole season for you to go back and listen to, and season 1 and season 2 as well. Plus, we do all our Friday extra episodes as an extra little present for you all. If you do like what you've heard, click the subscribe button, give us a little like, give us a 5 stars, write us a review. We will really appreciate it. If you don't fancy doing any of that stuff, just tell your friends. That's all we ask. Just tell someone, tell anyone you think likes movies or likes rambly chats, then this is the place for you to go. If you want to get in touch with us, then it's very easy to do that. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Unequal Sequel, and we're also on the old emails, unequalsequel@hotmail.com. Send us an email. Tell us what you thought. If you think S Darko is the best sequel ever made, ever, and you want to tell us that we're wrong, you just go for it. It's fine. We'll listen. We're not those. We won't dismiss you. You'll be wrong, but we won't. We'll listen. And Dave will probably be convinced.
I'm easily convinced. Send your comments this way. We will read them out on our end of month roundups. So send them our way. Send anything your thoughts about sequels or what we spoke about in this episode or the next. Thank you for listening. That's the only other thing I've got to say. Thank you. I've got nothing else to say. Have you, Rich?
Last episode of season 3 next week.
Oh.
It's a cracker.
It's a big one.
Make sure you get subscribing so it'll drop straight into your inbox.
So that's a aloha from me. That means goodbye in Hawaiian, guys. And it is a goodbye from him.
Bye!
Have a splendid week.